We're going to solve some equations now by factoring their quadratic equations. So the first thing that you have to know is true is that they have to be equal to 0. So when you solve by factoring, the first thing you want to do is obviously factor. So let's factor this. This is our most basic type, no GCF. And so we can put x's up front, find two numbers that multiply to negative 15 and add to negative 2. So that's minus 5 and plus 3 equals 0. And so we're going to use a really simple rule. We know if we take two numbers and we multiply them and we get 0, one thing has to be true. Either x or y have to be 0 for that to happen. That's the only way you can multiply and get 0 is if one of the numbers is 0. So here we're multiplying two things, x minus 5 and x plus 3, and we want them to be 0. So we know that either x minus 5 would have to be 0 or x plus 3 would have to be 0. So we can just solve that out. Add 5 to both sides. So on this side, x could equal 5. Or subtract 3 from both sides, and x could be negative 3. Alright, both of those are solutions. It's x equals 5 or x equals negative 3. Now there's a couple of options that happen here. One of the options is that, well, I guess there's really one option, is that you don't have 0 on the opposite side. You cannot start the process until one of the sides is 0. So in this case, if I want to make it 0, just add 24 to both sides. But notice there's no like terms on the left side to add 24 to. So when I actually do the adding, nothing combines, just the 24 gets added on, and now we factor the same way. So factors of 24 that add to 10, so x plus 6, x plus 4, and now I can solve. And those are my answers, either one or the other, so there's two possible solutions. I did one more, and I figured this could be a review for factoring as well. So before I do anything here, I'm going to need to subtract 2 and add 2x, so I can bring those over to the other side. Let's actually put them by the things we'll combine them with. So 5x squared plus 32x plus 12 equals 0. Now to factor this, just as a review, multiply the first and the last numbers together, 60, and then find factors of 60 that add to 32. In this case, it'll be 30 and 2. So I write the first part without the squared, so 5x plus 30. Whoops, I'm running out of room here. Let's try to write it smaller. 5x plus 30, 5x plus 2, and now take out the greatest common factor. So the greatest common factor in the first part is 5, so we divide that out, and I get x plus 6. And in the second part I have no common factor, so I leave that as 5x plus 2, and then those are my factors. So then what I end up doing is I have the equation x plus 6 times 5x plus 2 equals 0. This side's going to be negative 6. I think you probably seen the pattern by now. On this side, there is a simple way to get the answer in your head once you see the pattern. But if not, you can always just set it equal to 0. 5x equals negative 2. And divide both sides by 5, so x is negative 2/5. And there's solving by factoring.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.